so I know that you just clicked on the video because the title is kind of weird, but the manga is worth it, so please trust me. So yeah, most of you might know now, but for those who don't know, what is a doomer? Basically, it's a person who has experienced apparent hardship and became fully immersed in self-hatred, depression, and generally being a loner. They live through the night and sleep during the day. Now the doomer is generally associated with these two pictures, where you can see a man with his hood on, depressed, and you also have his withered form where he's at a point of no return. Moreover, the doomer had been trending for quite a while on the internet, as I suppose that many people could actually relate to it, which is actually a good case study of how consumerism has ruined many people, but that debate is for another video. Now a few months later, the Japanese thought, it would be nice if we made a waifu out of the doomer. And so this is how the manga I'm about to present to you today was born. Welcome to episode 10 of MangaTimes. Today we'll be talking about the suffering of a 26 years old unloved female doomer. Now the manga tells the story of Hiyoko, a 26 years old woman that has been living in a pretty questionable way for half a year now. To understand how she became so miserable, we should have a look at her past. Hiyoko was for most of her life a proper and diligent student, getting good grades at school and making her parents proud. She took her life very seriously and therefore joined an office job soon after graduating. But as you know, the office culture in Japan is quite harsh with its employees. In terms of working conditions and well-being, it is really bad. Indeed, most employers will put a lot of pressure on you and make you work unpaid overtimes. There are some bills that have been passed to actually ease that, but still, it's pretty much anchored in the culture. Now Hiyoko, being the very serious person she is, kept trying to meet others' expectations, which, let's not lie to ourselves, is virtually impossible. And thus after 3 years of suffering, being constantly ill-treated, Hiyoko decided to resign from her job and became heavily depressed. Now she lives alone, spending most of her days at home sleeping, ruminating and being miserable. Indeed, the manga focuses on her everyday life, which is as depressing as it is boring. Don't believe me? Then let's have a look at her daily life. So Hiyoko wakes up at 10:30. Well, not exactly, she stays in bed for another hour or two before she finally gets hungry. Then she stands up and heads for a fridge. Its insides are quite miserable as it only has seasonings that were mostly expired, and we have minced onion, which well don't look very edible. We also have something unknown in some aluminium wrapping. Therefore, to fill her stomach, Hiyoko decides to have some water, and that's it. Back to bed it is. After many hours of waking up constantly and getting back to sleep, her stomach reminds her that she really needs to eat, and that's when she realizes that she hasn't eaten anything for 2 days straight. Yeah, that's how bad it is. After struggling finding her wallet and keys for 10 minutes, she heads outside with as much willpower as the keyboard I'm writing the script on. She then has a mini existential crisis, and after helping an old lady cross the street, she's still a good person, she heads to the convenience store. There she overhears two men talking about how junk food will fuck your body, so Hiyoko takes cup noodles, but also decides to self-consciously take the skincare kit that is on promotion. When she gets back home, she starts making her instant food, but forgets to drain the noodles. And after banging her head against the kitchen counter, she finishes preparing her instant noodle. The noodles are obviously disgusting, so she tries to check her empty fridge for something to add to them to enhance the taste. Remember, apart from seasonings, there's not much in there, but she sees once more the thing in the aluminium wrapping and checks it. Turns out that it's actually butter. She adds it to the noodles with some soy sauce, and it makes the taste slightly better. After eating, she's already tired, and by the way, it's already evening. She realizes that once more she wasted a day doing absolutely nothing, and therefore starts crying alone in her apartment. She cries herself to exhaustion and finally decides to go shower to calm herself. When she goes back to bed, she sees an ad for a vegetable soup on TV and sets her objective to eat healthy food for the next day. And that is how a day in Hiyoko's life is. Quite miserable, right? She spent an entire day focusing on what to eat, and all of that to eat some instant processed food that tasted awful. She cried herself to exhaustion and finally did nothing on her entire day. What I find really good with the manga is the art style and character design. I think that the visual aspect of Hiyoko's depression makes it really relatable. Moreover, I think you'll come to find some relatable moments in the manga. For example, I can really relate to walking alone at 3 AM in alleys at night. So this manga is somehow depressing and funny at the same time, but I thought that it was a refreshing read. As I'm making this video, it is quite new as it is on its 5th chapter. Anyways, that was all for this episode of MangaTimes. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy my recommendations. I'd love to share some other recommendations with even more people. See you next week. Bye.